Hi everyone, and welcome back. If you are new here, my name is Stephanie, and here we talk about gardening, plants, cooking, spirituality, tarot readings, book reviews, and so much more. If this sounds like your vibe, welcome, and hit the subscribe button along with the alert bell to be notified when new content is uploaded. Today's video, we're going to have spend the weekend with me, and also at the end we were going to do a book review on Sacred Earth, Sacred Soul by John Phillip Newell, and I'm going to share with you the new book I'm reading as well. So let's get started. So Sacred Earth, Sacred Soul is about Celtic wisdom and spirituality and compares it to Western Christianity. Throughout the book, he not only reflects from the past wisdom of Celtic spirituality, but how to implement ancient practices in today's world. He stated that he came to a realization of the consequences of not remembering the sacredness of the earth and the human soul are disastrous, both individually and collectively. And this is what we're seeing in the midst of today. A planet struggling to breathe, religious fundamentalism that are fueling hatred and violence, and refugee families throughout the world being denied sanctuary. This is all evidence of a tragic breaking apart of our interrelationships, the failure of not remembering the sacredness in one another. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm gonna quote some chapters that I had bookmarked because I feel like this is going to best express the book better than probably I can. And this will give you an idea of where the author was heading with this book and what his teachings were and what he was trying to let the world know. I'll start with the first chapter. This guy is Pelagius. So he was a philosopher, and he was trying to let people know like what Christianity was kind of about. He stated that when Christianity later became a religion of the empire in the 4th century, one of the first things expected of it in return for political protection and prestige was the doctrine of creation, ex nihilo. Empire did not want to be told that matter is sacred, because then it could not do with impunity whatever it wished to matter. Then the body of the earth and the bodies of men and women were not just there to be used and exploited, they were to be honored and cared for. The doctrine of creation, ex nihilo, formally declared that the earth consists of substance that is neutral, not sacred. So this gave the empire a type of permission to do whatever it wished with material things. It set the stage of how Christianity was to be used by empires again and again over the centuries to sanction their exploitation of the earth. So just that statement alone just lets you think like what kind of shenanigans that religion was up to, and how they were going to be able to sell you water when water should be free, and how they should sell you food when food should be free, and God knows, everything else that they sell us that it's just a God-given right, So they're just basically, this doctrine of creation was just letting you know, hey, this is not considered holy or sacred. This is just a neutral ground, so we could do whatever we want with it. If everything is essentially sacred, as I probably am not going to pronounce this right, but I'm going to have it down here, Irenaeus taught, then what is the purpose of Christ? In so much of our Western theological inheritance, the Christ figure has been viewed as coming to save humanity from itself, to redeem it from its earthbound energies. Christ is represented as coming to airlift humanity into salvation. I liked how he used that word, airlift. This led to a denial and sometimes even abuse of the physical rather than reverencing of the earth and human body. So in this aspect of Western Christianity represents a betrayal of humanity's primal instinct for earth's sacredness. The knowing that fills our being, for instance, when we hold a newborn in our arms and breathe in nature's holy purity in the scent of the child's skin, or the knowing that is beyond doubt in us when we taste heaven on the lips of another and know in our bodies the eternity of love, or the knowing that stirs in our depths that when we witness the flowering and fruiting of the earth, or watching the glory of a new day light emerging from the darkness of night. So, Irenaeus saw Christ not in opposition of this deep natural knowing, but as a radical affirmation of it. Christ, he said, is the recapitulation of the word through which everything has come into being. To recapitulate something is to say it again. It is to utter afresh what needs to be clarified or brought back into consciousness. So Irenaeus saw Christ not as a new word, a word that is somehow over against what is deepest in the earth and the human mystery. Rather, he saw Christ as re-speaking the sacred essence of the universe, resounding the divine that is at the heart of all things. This was to see Christ as reawakening in humanity what it has forgotten. So I'm not good at reading out loud, but I hope you guys got that. And just to paraphrase it a little bit, he saw basically Christ as not someone who was going to save humanity, but Christ was just to help you remember how to save yourself. And if you save yourself and everyone's saving themselves, and humanity's obviously going to be saved. So if you're waiting for basically Christ to come down from the clouds, it's not going to happen. The salvation is within yourself. So that's just one glimpse of what he was talking about. He was also saying in the same chapter, the sacredness of the human soul. People are not just there to be controlled and used, but should be reverenced and related to. The sacredness of nature. We cannot do whatever we wish to the body of the earth, but are to honor it as our own body. The sacredness of spiritual practice. Truth is not just dispensed from above by those who are in power, but accessed from deep within by everyone. The sacredness of wisdom. One nation or culture or religion does not have a monopoly on wisdom. It is to be found in all people, all cultures, all religions. The sacredness of compassion. We are to see and feel and act for others as we see and feel and act for ourselves. All of this challenged the inequities upon which the empire was built. Some strong words here. So let's just move on to a different prophet or philosopher. Let's see. I've really learned a lot from this book. And not even learning, relearning. So it's something I felt that it was already inside of me, and it just sparked something that I'm I've always felt that, So here's another, I'm not sure what chapter 6 is John Muir, and he was stating, he asked, why should humanity value itself as more than a small part of the one great unit of creation? The universe would be incomplete without humanity, but it would also be incomplete without any one of Earth's other species. More and more, he came to view the creatures as our earth-born companions. The human species comes from heaven, he said, but not only more directly than daisies or bears. They all come from the one fountain soul. So, this is kind of made me think, because when John Muir is teaching, I was at the pool And Tanya's like, oh, you're saving all the insects that are in the pool. And I'm like, yeah. And this was before the book. This was actually last year. And I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't I? I mean, if they have the knowing that I'm saving them, and they reach for my hand, or they reach for the stick, or whatever it is that I'm using to pull them up, then why wouldn't I save something that obviously knows it's drowning and dying, and then when safety comes, it knows to take hold of it? Why wouldn't I? There is a consciousness in there. There's some type of spirit in there, so of course I'm going to help, you know? And not only that, like, what better am I than the bee? Or what better am I than, you know, the ants? Or whatever animal, you know? It's because, like, kind of like what he's saying, like, my sacredness is not any better than the bee sacredness or the ant sacredness. You know, we all play a part in this earth. The bee has an important role, just like the ant does, and just like I do, you know? So, yeah, I totally understand that. We all do this cycle, you know? We're all part of this cycle. So it's kind of like, what cycle do you want to be on, you know? What I had originally stated, are you going to be on that cycle where all matter has no sacredness to it? You have dominion over to do whatever you want with it. And that's why we are dealing with climate change and all kinds of stuff that's going on in this world, and manipulating nature by creating our own weather. Like, what? It's weird. We wouldn't have to probably manipulate our own weather if we weren't, like, destroying it to begin with, you know? So that just kind of puts me in that type of mind frame when I was reading this book. So with John Muir, he basically wanted people to have a relationship with Mother Earth. He wanted people to basically return back to the mountains and just meditate, basically, and like listen to Earth, basically reconnecting like once our ancestors did, because our ancestors were very connected with Earth, and we as a species has lost that connection. And he even quoted something from the Bible, from Exodus 3:5. Remove the sandals from your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. So he's using that scripture to remind you to go back to the mountains, or just plant your feet on earth, on the grass, on the dirt, in the water, and know that you're on holy ground, and reconnect, you know. And that's also the point of grounding, and, you know, putting your feet on the grass is to gain that reconnection. And then if you just like, and the reason why he was saying to sit in the mountains is because if you could just sit quietly, away from all the distractions, away from all the noise, away from everything, right? You're just in nature, just nowhere near the city. You can't even hear a car pull up, you know, or honk or any of that. If you just sit there and just pay attention to the birds, to the wind, to anything that nature, any natural sounds, like, you're gonna start to hear a rhythm. And he's letting you know, like, you also hear the heartbeat of Earth as well. And, you know, when we all look to the Bible for, you know, for our teachings, he's saying, you know, that God, this is what you need to hear. This is the sacredness that you need to hear. This is, even though, like, you may not understand it right away, but you're going to understand it in your heart. And I know when I take my nature walks, you know, if we go hiking or just sitting in the grass, like, I feel like renewed. I feel like I always get something from it. Even if it's like no conversation, like how I'm having a conversation with you, I always leave with something. And that's what John Muir was just trying to let and promote, basically, is he's saying that we need to allow the wilderness of the natural world to more fully awaken us. There is hope for the human journey to the extent that we come back into true relationship with the earth's wildness. And he's also letting you know, with God's wildness as well. I mean, this is God's creation. This will affect not only what we do with our leisure time, as we realize the importance of getting back out into wilderness landscapes. It will also affect our work time, as we learn again from the rhythms and seasons of the earth, rather than pretending that we can work nonstop and still be well. And this kind of brings me back to the video I made prior to this one. And it's about living the art of natural, not natural, what did I write? The art of, why can't I remember what video I made? Oh my God, people, what is wrong with me? This is so weird. The art of slow living. I'm sorry, I was just, all this nature talking. I kept thinking natural, but hey, it kind of is. So the art of slow living, right? And in the art of slow living, I was talking about, being in nature's rhythm, right? In your own sacred rhythm as well. And, when you start to slow down, then you start to be able to heal yourself. It's just a matter of, living busy. And how are you well if you're going to continue living like this? You can't be well. There gets to a point where you go through this burnout, right? And then we got to pull back. And usually nature helps us with that and, getting back into that cycle. So as we reawaken to our relationship with the earth, we will begin to see in new ways and be prompted to live and speak in new ways. And this is by Kenneth White. So he's talking about rewording the world, rediscovering the earth. Right? He's talking about, this is George MacLeod taught the holiness of wholeness. Holiness, he said, is essentially about healthiness. It is about healthy relationship with the earth and one another as individuals, communities, and nations. The word holy and whole are derived from the same root, the Middle English word hail, which means health. The pursuit of holiness is the pursuit of healthiness in our lives and world. It is not soul salvation. Salve means healing ointment. To be part of salvation is to be part of healing in the world, of bringing what is torn and infected among us back into health and relationship again. So look at holiness as healthiness and having a healthy relationship with the earth and with one another, right? And then this will be basically the salve, the healing ointment, to bring you back to being healthy again. So that's a good way of looking at it. And yeah, this was really a good book. There's some things that, here, this was Pierre Teilhard. And Pierre Teilhard is talking about courage, and this kind of was also reminding me when I was reading about what my father had told me about living through the heart chakra. So our English word courage is derived from the Old French courage. It's going to be down here. Based on the word we're going to continue, which means heart. Courage or courage is about living from the heart. And it is in the heart that love resides, our greatest strength. We need courage, strength of heart, if we are to be part of the holy work of reawakening to the sacredness of matter. Some of our courageous work may take place on the big stage of helping to move organizations and nations in the directions of honoring the matter of the earth and the matter of human lives. But all of us are also called to be people of courage in the more humble and often unnoticed realms of family, life, and work, even in how we look at one another and personally behave, how we heat our houses, or how we resource and prepare our food. To reverence the sacredness of matter often means courageously opposing the norms of society and government policies. Like Teilhard, we need to draw from our heart in this work, our place of inner strength and love. So that kind of puts me in the mind frame of like, being more mindful on how, like when you say like warming our home, like being more mindful of how we teach our children, how to treat others, and not only others like as people, but others in a sense of human life or animal life or even the plants, instead of being like this and throwing it, on the streets. No, keep it here until you find a trash can and then throw it away. And also maybe like recycling, or when we eat, to pray over our food and, any sacrifices that were made for our food. If you're not a vegan or a vegetarian, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. But, pray over your food and thank the sacrifice that was made for that animal to be on your plate. And, pray for its soul to continue on its journey. Kind of like Avatar, how before they killed the animal, they thanked it first for being able to feed it, and then, utilizing all of it. Nothing went to waste, basically. And I think that kind of puts me in that mind frame. So if you're interested in this book, I do recommend it. It's a lot of good information in here, a lot of re-knowing in here, things that you probably never thought of, or maybe have thought of but never like went too far into it with a thought. I did do a lot of highlighting and stuff throughout this book. You probably can't see, I don't know. So I can reflect back. If I decide to pick this back up again, I can reflect back on the chapters and the statements that were made that stood out to me. But yeah, I do recommend this book. Now for the next book that I'm reading, I'm on chapter 2. It's called Fresh Banana Leaves, Healing Indigenous Landscapes Through Indigenous Science. Jessica Hernandez, PhD. And this is the book. That's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any comments or questions, go ahead and leave it in the reviews. I love reading your guys' comments down below. I love it. I always try to answer everyone. But that's the end of this video. Thanks. Have a good day, guys. Till next time. Bye. Take